Welcome to Parev TV. Today, our guest is Dr. Asya Darbinyan, who is the Executive Director of the Center for Holocaust, Human Rights, and Genocide Education in Brookdale Community College in Lincroft, New Jersey. Asya, we have followed your work. Thank you for all you do. And let us talk about upcoming programs, especially the one on April the 10th, when Mark Mamigon from Nasser will be delivering a very powerful lecture indeed. Can you give us some details as to what to expect on April the 10th?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today and for the opportunity to share what we do at Change and particularly about this program. On Thursday, April 10 at 6:30 p.m., Change will hold an in-person Armenian Genocide
Mhm.
Remembrance event at the Student Life Center of Brookdale Community College. And as you already mentioned, our speaker will be Mark Mamikonian, the Director of Academic Affairs at NASER, the National Association for Armenian Studies and Research. And his talk is titled Gaslighting the World: How Azerbaijan Denies Armenian Existence. And why we chose this specific topic, um, a Change we educate about genocides, about human rights issues, and especially we do it by putting that in context of world history and various chapters of history to show the common elements in different genocides and to show that one genocide is not the problem of the one victim group, that it's the problem of the humanity. And we know all too well that when and if genocides go unpunished or unrecognized and unaccounted for, it ends up normalizing the crime.
Mhm.
On top of that,
Mhm.
that impunity and lack of recognition ends up um, helping for these crimes to happen again. Like history ends up repeating itself. And, in 2020, Azerbaijan, that proudly calls itself Turkey's younger brother, unleashed a whole-scale war against the Republic of Artsakh, not without military and financial support of Turkey. And this brutal attack on Artsakh and the ethnic cleansing of its Armenian population in September of 2023 resulted in a catastrophic humanitarian crisis. Over 100,000 Armenians,
Mhm.
Artsakh Armenians, became refugees. But Azerbaijan did not stop there with Artsakh. Today, the Armenian people and the state are not safe. Azerbaijan's rhetoric, informed by the century-long Turkish denial, and also galvanized by the military victories in 2020, in 2023, threatens Armenian people and Armenian state. Azerbaijan has embarked upon complete and total denial of Armenian existence. So that is a major reason why we decided that when we have this opportunity 110 years after the beginning of Armenian genocide to bring our community back together in person on campus of Brookdale Community College, we need to remember, commemorate, but also learn together because we are still facing challenges. And it may sound surprising, but sometimes we tend to neglect those challenges until it comes to our door. But it is already at our door.
We are facing challenges, Asya. And let me just say, I was very impressed by your word saying this is going to be an in-person lecture, which is a little bit novelty because we have been away after COVID. Many people have adopted the live streaming, etc., exposure. But again, thank you for all the work that is done behind the scenes to bring us back to life. One other thing very important about the center you very proudly stressed in one of your emails that the Brookdale Community College's Chhange, the Center for Holocaust, Human Rights, Genocide Education Center, is the only center that has a permanent exhibit. Give us an idea. What do you mean? Why are you so proud of that? What is it in the state of New Jersey? That's the only college that has that.
Right. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm an educator and a
Mm,
genocide scholar, so I believe that education is key. And that's why I am honored to represent Change, because just as you mentioned, this organization's mission has been to educate about genocides, about
mm,
human rights, and it empowers younger generations as well as educators, community members,
mm,
leaders to stand up against hate. And we provide them with tools to confront racism and all forms of prejudice and also denial. And one of the ways we do it is with the help of our exhibit. It's called Journeys Beyond Genocide, the Human Experience.
mm,
And every year it engages thousands of visitors with human stories of three genocides: the Armenian genocide, the Holocaust, and the genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda.
mm,
And as you rightly mentioned, we host the only permanent exhibit on the Armenian genocide in the tri-state area. And what is even more important, we present the history of Armenian genocide not in isolation, but rather within the context of
mm,
the history's tragic chapters. We show how these three genocides perpetrated against Ottoman Armenians during First World War, European Jewry during the Second World War, and Tutsis in Rwanda in 1994. So it's throughout the 20th century in various parts of the globe, share common patterns. And we show our audience, who usually these are people who have expressed their interest to learn what genocide is and why it happens, that genocide is not the tragedy and legacy of one ethnic, religious, or national group that went through that ordeal. Genocides may and they do occur anywhere in the world, and it's the responsibility of humanity as a whole to prevent them from happening. And our exhibit is composed of artifacts such as original photographs, handwritten diaries and memoirs, official certificates and passports, personal items of survivors that were donated to Change by local community members. So for Armenian genocide section of our permanent exhibit, for example, those artifacts represent the life of Ottoman Armenians before the genocide. They also share the experiences of those who survived the genocide, and they speak for those who did not survive to tell their stories. They show that those 1.5 million Armenians were not these waves of nameless, like faceless deportees and victims. Each of them had a name, had a face, a home, a family, a story to be told, honored, and not to be forgotten. So conveying that message, that each one of those personal stories is equally important, no matter how different or alike, helps us honor those individuals and their memory. And through our exhibit and through our programming at Change, we also encourage the third, fourth generations of survivors, the descendants, to come forward, help us promote genocide education and awareness, be the voice for those who cannot speak anymore. The tours that we do at Change's exhibit, they are customizable, they are interactive. So each experience is really tailored to meet the specific interests and the learning goals of the group that comes in. So for instance, this coming Sunday, the Armenian Church Youth Organization of America's, the ACYOA's juniors members of San Stepanos Armenian Church in Elburn, New Jersey, are visiting Chhange's exhibit. And this is now their second visit. Last year, they came in as well. And this year, we're doing a different type of tour. This year, we're doing what we call Explorer Tour, where students are going to be really engaged with the exhibit. We are going to give them certain tasks, questions, and then send to the exhibit to find answers from the photos, the texts that we have there. And then they will come back and share it in groups and discuss it. So in that way, the tour is not like a boring lecture for a group of students standing there and listening to a docent. It's really a learning experience for them. And if anyone is interested to come and see our exhibit, please feel free to contact us either through our email, which is contact@chhange.org. And remember, Chhange is with 2 H's, or they can call 732-224-1889. We are open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Walk-ins are possible too, but if you're looking for a full and more meaningful experience, a tour that would be led by a trained docent who will address all your questions, it would be much better to give us a call and arrange the tour.
Dr. Asya Darbinyan, you earned your doctorate degree from Clark University. You have been teaching, lecturing, executive director of Chhange. Your life has been extremely full of activities. And what is interesting for me is before you grew up and you were born and grew up in Armenia, and before you left Armenia, you were also the deputy director of the Genocide Museum in Yerevan. How that experience guided you through life, or what kind of an impact did that experience have on your future?
Thank you. Yes, that's a wonderful question. Armenian Genocide Museum was my first workplace.
Uh-huh.
I was a master's student in the Department of International Relations at Yerevan State University when I was looking for jobs. And my professor of Turkish language, Ashot Sogomonian of Yerevan State University, said, Asya, why don't you try Genocide Museum?
Hmm.
The new director is looking for researchers and tour guides. And I was not studying to become a genocide scholar then. It was the International Relations Department. I was thinking that maybe one day I would become a diplomat. But that was a really interesting opportunity because my grandfather was a genocide survivor. He
Hmm.
was from Ardahan,
Hmm.
Kars region in today's eastern Turkey. And of course, genocide had been part of the stories in my family. Every year we would walk up the hill, go to the Eternal Fire and put flowers at the flame at the
Hmm.
Genocide Memorial in Yerevan, in Tsitsernakabert. So hearing that there is an opportunity to contribute to that museum, I jumped on it and I sent my CV, I went to an interview and I was hired. And I started as a researcher and the English speaking guide of the museum. That opened a whole new world for me. I actually wrote my master's thesis on American humanitarian response to Armenian genocide and the refugees, and became a senior researcher and eventually excelled to the position of the deputy director, which was an amazing opportunity for a young woman in Armenia. And I always emphasize this because I remember that when certain officials or delegations would come in, they would be surprised to see a young female being in that position. But that opportunity really was such an eye-opening and life-changing experience because I represented Genocide Museum as an ambassador to all the foreign dignitaries that were coming to Armenia. And while I was doing that job, I also just really realized that I want to immerse myself more into studying the genocide.
Mhm.
And that's what brought me to US because I applied for a PhD position at Clark University's Strasser Center for Holocaust and Genocide Studies, and the world-renowned scholar Taner Akçam agreed to be my advisor. So it was really once in a lifetime opportunity, and I took it and I came to Worcester, Massachusetts, one of the oldest Armenian communities in the United States. And that was the beginning of a new journey here in US, becoming part of the diaspora, first as a student and later as an educator myself. It's been really an honor of a lifetime for me to be able to go from communities to communities, from California to Florida, and educating both students and teachers how to talk about these difficult subjects, how to bring those subjects into their classrooms, because in addition to being educator and a scholar, I believe I'm also a little bit of an advocate. We all have to be, because again, what our topic of the program is denial, right? And Armenian genocide is still being denied by the perpetrator state. And because of that, the scholarship on this topic has suffered. Victims and survivors are not being honored properly because of that. So it's just part of who I am, my identity now.
Asya, we're very, very proud of you. It really sounds as though you're just beginning. There's so much long road ahead of you, and we wish you success in all your future undertakings. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the time you took to talk to me.